The Americans brought much to Russia besides warplanes. At Poltava, the bombers were refueled and rearmed by Soviet ground crews for the second leg of their shuttle back to their bases in Italy. En route, they attacked strategic targets. June 1944, in southern England. At last, the second front. The commanders had done what they could. The rest was up to the fighting men. They were ready. An armada, the biggest airborne and seaborne assault ever conceived. Rejoiced. Crossing the English Channel was a great challenge, he said. Napoleon and Hitler could not do it. The liberation of Western Europe had begun. Now there would be other homecomings. Within weeks, the Free French tanks helped to liberate Paris, and a new government was established. And Charles de Gaulle returned from his long years of exile to bring France back to her former stature. In the fall of 1944, Winston Churchill flew once more to Moscow. With American and British forces closing in on the Rhine in the west and the Red Army gathering itself for the last assault in the east, the question was no longer how Hitler's Germany could be defeated. That had been decided. The question now, what was to be done when Germany crumbled? One thing was clear to both Stalin and Churchill. By far the most powerful nation in Europe now was Soviet Russia. Churchill was dealing with a new, undeniable power. The old balance had shifted.
unknown war will continue in a moment. His two allies.
There were some dying spasms. 9 days before Christmas of 1944, the Nazis lashed out in the west. Columns of SS panzers drove through the forests of the Ardennes in the hope of splitting the Allied armies in two. 250,000 crack troops, 15 infantry and 10 panzer divisions. Before they were stopped, they killed or wounded nearly 77,000 Americans. The Germans lost 120,000 men, 500 tanks, 1,600 planes. Churchill had asked Stalin for help. Stalin advanced the date of the Red Army's next offensive. January 12, 1945, the Red Army thundered out of its bridgehead. This year would see the end. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was beginning his fourth term as president. His family gathered for the inaugural, and many of his friends.
In the days and the years that are to come, we shall work for a just and honorable peace, a durable peace. Today we work and fight for total victory in war.
A month later, the Big Three met for the second time in liberated Soviet territory, the Crimea. The place was Yalta. The street there still bears President Roosevelt's name. Roosevelt did not have long to live. It was February 1945, the eve of the last battle. Soviet troops stood at the Oder, 50 miles from Berlin. American and British armies stood at the Rhine. There was one military topic remaining: